Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the first to interview you for the real David Miles story in the upcoming documentary.
Thank you for having me. Before we get this interview started, I just want everyone to know and understand that I'm not trying to glorify my story, nothing that I did. I want to clarify all of the mistakes and the consequences, the result of that story.
I want to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born and where you grew up.
Well, I was born in Fairfield County, specifically off of Highway 34 in Ridgeway, South Carolina. After my mother and father got married, we moved to Blythewood where my grandparents own a lot of land. And that's where, I was raised in Blythewood.
Tell us how growing up in that environment affected the choices you made in life.
Well, we was poor. We didn't have much of anything. My parents lived check to check. And from watching them struggle, it affected me in a way that I didn't know at the time, but it caused me to jump off the porch.
Can you tell us what you mean by jumping off the porch, and at what age were you when you made the jump?
Well, when we say jump off the porch, we mean, get into the game, start hustling, become a man for real, for real. And I would say I was about 14 years old when I first made that jump.
So at the age of 14, you got your first taste of hustling. What was that like, and how did it affect you moving forward?
Oh man, the first taste of hustling, it was good. It was good. I was able to do things that my parents couldn't do for me. I was able to buy things that I wanted it was not an option for my parents. And I felt like I was a man then at that early age.
So would you say hustling has been your go-to method of getting money?
I wouldn't necessarily say that was my go-to because, I was pretty good in school. And, at the age of, I say about 22, I had my own business. I had a brick masonry company where I built 3 subdivisions in Turtle Creek. Some of you guys might be living out there right now in some of the houses that I built. I did a nursing home down in Forest Drive, and I built an elementary school in Rosewood. So it wasn't my go-to, but it was always something that I felt that I was pretty good at.
As I understand it, at some point, circumstances forced you to abruptly leave South Carolina. Tell us about that, and where did you go?
Well, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was in '99. An incident occurred that caused me to have to leave South Carolina and leave my business behind and everything and just pack up and just leave. And I left, and my intentions was to go to Miami because my motto at that time was I'm going to the bottom and come up. But I didn't make it to Miami. I stopped off in Georgia.
Tell us about your time in Georgia.
Georgia. Let's just say we don't have enough time for me to get into Georgia. Georgia is a whole movie within itself. When we got enough time, I could tell you all about Georgia.
I'm sure the viewers want to know all about the Georgia experience, but for now, we'll save some of that for our next interview. As I understand it, there's another experience you had in Georgia that didn't end so well. Tell us about that.
Well, after leaving South Carolina in '99, I was in Georgia, doing what I was doing in Georgia for a couple years. And about September 25, 2002, the feds came and picked me up.
What was your original sentence, and how much time did you subsequently serve?
Well, I was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. But through God's grace and mercy, the life was taken off in 2008 because of a new law that made the guidelines advisory instead of mandatory. And I wind up serving 20 years, 2 months, and 6 days in prison.
After serving 20 years, 2 months, and 6 days, what's your mindset now? And what are you doing to get your life back together?
My mindset now is where I wish it was before all this transpired. My mindset is on God, on my wife and my family and my children, whom I miss so much of their lives. It's just disheartening to know the effect that I had on them, and not only the effect that I had on their lives, the effect that I caused so many other lives by my actions. Right now, I have 2 small businesses that I've started. My wife and I started. I have a pressure washing business. So if anyone needs their house clean, driveways, make sure you holler at David Miles of Pressure Washing Kings, LLC. And we have a box truck, 1 box truck, which we hope to grow into 5 or 10 and, just keep going. And, we have a clothing line, which is Big Knucklehead. This is the shirt that I wear, and we hope to get that and we got a lot of little irons in the fire. We got some projects that we're trying to get off the ground, but it takes time. And if I learned anything in prison, it was patience. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait on God. I'm not going to try to take the reins myself and lead this. I'm going to let him lead, and I'm going to follow.
Well, thank you for allowing us to interview you. We are so looking forward to the next interview so we can hear about what transpired in Georgia.
Thank you for having me. Everybody, I want y'all to stay tuned. It only gets better.